Fox News Channel. I know nobody has followed Afghanistan and Iraq closer than you. What do you make of, apparently, the president is considering what is being referred to as McChrystal Light? Because McChrystal would like 40,000 troops. It sounds like it's going to be a number south of that.
May I back up one step or one country to a far more important strategic area, Pakistan, nuclear armed, just to the south of Afghanistan. So much of what happens in Afghanistan is really determined in Pakistan, the base of the Taliban, etc. I think that absolute kudos, you don't hear it here a lot, go to the Secretary of State for going to Pakistan and today calling out the Pakistanis and saying, isn't it almost impossible for you not to know if Osama bin Laden is alive or dead or in your country, and how is it that members of al-Qaeda have managed for so long to exist and to be part of your own intelligence service and all the rest of it? I think that by calling them out, the Pakistanis, Hillary Clinton did us all proud.
But the honesty is refreshing.
It's refreshing.
But maybe not helpful if she angers the Pakistanis and then we don't get to work in concert with them.
And they don't trust us.
I think that the BS relationship we have had with Pakistan is part of the problem. I applaud her frankness. It was in response to a Pakistani reporter's question. It was totally appropriate, aside from being 100% accurate. Now to McChrystal Light. I am concerned about not listening to the generals. I said that during the surge. First of all, I give the benefit of the doubt to George W. Bush during the surge. I give the benefit of the doubt to this president, Osama bin Laden.
No, it's okay. You misspoke. That's okay.
Is that licorice?
That's okay.
The situation is, however, that I believe that President Obama waited on the troop surge until the President Karzai of Afghanistan agreed to hold the recount election. Once he could force Karzai into holding the redo election, the runoff election in Afghanistan, then he can determine whether or not McChrystal's plan can work. You cannot surge American forces to defeat an insurgency unless you have a government that you want to support. So heretofore, you had Karzai, a corrupt government, his own brother allegedly involved in drug dealing in the CIA, this, that, and the other thing. Karzai has finally said that he will go along with a runoff election. Now President Obama can make his determinations based on the fact that Afghanistan will have a legitimate government. And I think that that decision will come shortly after the recount election on November 7th. Once we see the election happen, once we can determine that there is more or less a legitimate government in Afghanistan, then the president can decide the extent and the component of the surge. And I hope with all my heart that he listens to Stanley McChrystal and gives him what he wants.
So you believe it's a legitimate, useful war?
I believe that, listen, I lost 8 members of my kids' junior high, dads for my kids' junior high on 9/11. That attack happened from Afghanistan. We had to wipe out the national base of the terrorists. We had to do that. If we leave Afghanistan, there is nothing to stop the radical Taliban from reestablishing the terror base that inflicted such misery on us. I believe the war is an absolutely necessary war.
But at some point, we need to leave. And if we're not going to do nation building, which is part of what McChrystal's asking for, not just more combat troops, but troops that can help schools.
Did we nation build in Iraq? Isn't that what we did when we removed the dictator from power and established a reasonably representative democratic government? Isn't that part of America's mission in 21st century world politics?
So why not give the 40,000 troops?
Well, I think that they will, but you can't do it if you're throwing good money after bad, so to speak. If you have a corrupt government who's not standing up their police, standing up their army, reasonably representing the people, then you just can't throw more troops there.
Geraldo,
I also thought it was very poignant that Obama went to see the returning KIAs. I think that was really very noble. I wish he had done it earlier, but I'm very, very glad that he was there.
In fact, we had, in our first hour, we had a father of 2 Marines say exactly the same thing. He has never been more proud of the president for him going to greet them.
That's a great shot of the president saluting. It's really very touching.
It certainly is. But this guy, he had emailed us at Fox News, and he said, we're hearing from all these pundits, but we don't hear from the families. And what the families say is morale is low because there is no clear road to victory. Here's a little bit of Tim Irick in Omaha.
We don't feel they have a sense of urgency as military families. When we hear Senators Kerry say it's too fast and it's too far, the McChrystal plan is too fast and too far. You know what? My son's in harm's way. Senator Kerry, you can't move fast enough for me.
There's such frustration from the families who have people in peril. They want protection. They want them home, but they want them to do the job.
But you know something, and with all due respect to the dad, I know a lot of GIs at every rank from private to multi-star general, and these guys want to win. That's what they want.
Tell them
want to win.
They don't. A lot of them don't know what the mission is right now.
Well, I totally appreciate that, but I also will bet you dollars to donuts that if you tell them that the mission is we're going to have an election here where the majority will rule, we will have a country that brings itself out of the Stone Age and into the modern era, more or less. It won't be a perfect republic, but for God's sakes, at least it will have a police force and an army that can stop people from building missiles that are launching in America.
But when American forces, and you know them well, and they love you because of your support, when they're at risk of dying, should they have to wait on the installation of a legitimate government?
I believe so.
Should troops have to be overrun the way that they were overrun earlier in the month? Mass casualties, hundreds of these people overrunning a small force of Americans who didn't have the capacity to get help.
Listen, I know that the two incidents where bases were overrun, 8 died in one, 9 died in the other. In both those instances, we abandoned those fire bases after the massacre of our troops. We must hold the ground. We have to have a sufficient force to hold the ground if we are going to win that war. You have to have a counterinsurgency aspect of it, no doubt. You must, however, project power and give a reasonable idea that the citizens will be safe from the terrorists. If you can't do that, then you can't win. But I believe that is an attainable mission given the commitment, most of all, of the American people to the fight and a substantial enough force to do it. But listen, it is a horrifying place to fight. I've been there 6 times, multiple, weeks at a time. In the summer, it's 135 degrees. In the winter, the wind blows up your pants and freezes your nose hairs. And
Terrible.
My mustache is like you could break it. And plus, people want to kill you. It's a horrible place to fight, no doubt. That's why I love these GIs. They fight for nothing. They get paid nothing, relatively speaking. They do a magnificent job. They're patriots to the core.
We're nothing without them.
And we're nothing without them. And I believe that the president will do the right thing here, but it will take 2 to 3 weeks before the decision is made.
All right, on a much lighter note, let's talk about that mustache.
The frozen mustache.
You have been rocking the stash for decades, Geraldo.
Rocking the
He has
stash.
been, and he knows it. So how could somebody pretend that you are in a battle royale with John Stossel?
Oh, I didn't know. I've been on my boat. I don't know what's going on.
Clearly
Take
are
a
the
look
winner.
at this. It's the mustache fighting on Falcon.
John Stossel is leaving ABC for the Fox Business Channel. It's huge news. Everybody's talking about it. But here's the deal. Geraldo Rivera is already over at Fox. And I don't think Fox is big enough for both of those mustaches.
2 mustaches, 1 belt. It's gonna get hairy.
You ready? Let's go fight.
There they go. Mustache family. They're taking it on wild time. Only insanity. Only insanity.
The winner and ultimate mustache fighting champion.
Who won?
I think that's
You did.
That's me, the great one. I told you, Stossel, you're coming on my turf now.
all right, Geraldo. We'll be watching this.
Thanks.
See you. Thank
I
you.
welcome John aboard. He's a great journalist
Yeah.
and a great colleague. We were together at ABC for many years.
Welcome
And
to
a
the
great
family.
mustache.
And a great mustache.
Not great enough.
Thanks, Geraldo.
A good second place mustache.
All right, listen.